You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
And welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. Yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi, and boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because as you can see, for those of you that are on the live stream, Garrett Marshall is our guest. He is the CEO and founder of Well Built Ventures. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Rick. I'm excited to chat with you.
So let's get into it. Let's take us back in time and give us your origin story. Think about the original motivation, inspiration that you had to launch this firm, and kind of give us the backstory, if you would.
Sure. Well, it's been a 22-year journey to this point, so there are a few factors that led to here. But the short version is it was really sports initially that got me, that pointed me in the direction, propelled me in the direction of fitness. I played hockey, and I was playing junior hockey at the time. I got injured, and I had another year left, and so I simply was looking for, I was about college age in hockey. If you're not familiar, junior hockey is kind of the step between high school and college. And I had to get shoulder surgery, and I needed a place to do physical therapy and to train to go back to hockey. And that's when I found Lifetime Fitness. And long story short, I ended up becoming employed by Lifetime Fitness. Initially, I was teaching swim lessons to kids in exchange for a free membership at the time. There was no long-term plan, but I really loved that company and ended up spending 5 years there. And one of the sort of macro forces that has really influenced the direction of my career and where I am today is very early on at Lifetime. And for those that aren't familiar with the Lifetime Fitness model, these are big, almost like fitness country clubs, 150,000 to 200,000 square feet in size. And they have pools and rock climbing and kids programs and personal training and restaurants and all that stuff. And so it was a great platform to enter the industry. Big boxes, lots of members, lots of consumers. And, for me playing sports, fitness was always an important component of my life. But I recognized pretty early on that many people didn't have the exact same relationship with wellness, and had a lot of potential to enjoy the benefits of living a healthy life that to me were sort of default as a byproduct of just the importance of fitness and sports. And ultimately that idea sort of evolved into my career, my paradigm, and ultimately my personal mission, which is the basic idea that optimal wellness or optimal well-being, maybe to use an even broader term, is not the optimal, it is not the natural order of things. And so I made it my mission to use my expertise and the experience that I've built over the last 22 years to help other people maximize their quality of life. And so that it wasn't that clear in the beginning. I've honed that in a little bit as I've gone, but that was the basic idea. And so over the last 22 years, early in 2004, I think I started with Lifetime Fitness. I spent 5 years there. They IPO'd for the first time. They're a public company now, but IPO'd the first time during my tenure there. I left in 2009 and joined a SaaS startup. And so like my experience at Lifetime Fitness really gave me, sort of a first seat experience to the operations of a fitness business across all dimensions, from spa and salon to how personal training works. And in the Lifetime business model, each of those departments run on their own P&L. So it gave me a real appreciation in the beginning of my career on how to optimize each of those individual aspects from sort of the retail operator's point of view in the industry. But after spending 5 years there, I had the entrepreneurial itch, I guess. And, technology, just like it still is today, was an obvious way to really fuel growth, reach, and accessibility to wellness to more people. And I ended up joining a SaaS startup in Minneapolis called Wellbeats. And to just kind of keep it succinct, that company went on to sell in 2022 for $92.5 million to a Canadian healthcare company. But I actually left after 2.5 to 3 years and started a competitive product, which was more focused on the enterprise part of the market than the SMB part of the market. And that company was called Fitness on Demand. Ultimately, that became a wholly owned subsidiary of a fitness holding company called Lift Brands, which is also based out of Minneapolis. And I served there as the CEO up until 2019. That company also scaled very quickly. It was a SaaS model, and we sold that into. And we can. I'm just going to gloss over these, and if you want to double click on any of these, of course, just jump in, Rick. But okay. That sold into about 5,000 locations in the first 5 years. So that did really well. But in 2019, I had the opportunity to join Anthony Geisler at Exponential Fitness, where I served for 5 years as the president of the direct consumer and digital business unit, which I also created. So sort of like I was responsible for building the business thesis and then building that business unit itself. Because Exponential is a fitness franchise company, which gave me an opportunity to get closer to the consumer, which, that idea really ties into sort of the direction of technology in our industry, which I'm sure you'll want to get to and talk about more. And also an opportunity to really be more directly involved in an IPO, which we had planned for 2020, but of course, COVID happened. We ultimately did take that company public in July 2021. So I spent 5 years there. And then just last year, at the beginning of the year, so a little over a year and a half ago, I left Exponential and launched my current business, Well Built Ventures, which brings us full circle to where I am today.
What an exciting tour de force through the fitness and healthcare space. So as you've launched a year and a half or so ago, any pivots to the business? What have you learned? How has the business model changed? And we're going to talk about the business model next, but just any pivots to the business since you've launched?
Yeah, this may not be the technical definition of a pivot, but when we get to the nature of Well Built Ventures and what the company was designed to do, one of the strategic decisions that we did make early on, which was not anticipated, was to really double click in one particular area of growth. So Well Built Ventures is a growth development firm. We help our customers grow. That's it in a nutshell. But about 6 months in, I recognized an opportunity in one very specific area of growth, which is precision health integration. And we ended up beginning last summer, and it launched to market this February, building. It's not technically a SaaS product, but that's probably the best way to think of it as a SaaS product. It's a software product called Precision Health Platform. But we decided to invest in and build a technology product built for scale, which was a little bit against the grain of Well Built Ventures, because Well Built Ventures is a very boutique-oriented growth development firm. And so recognizing an opportunity to build a SaaS software product that is broadly applicable to a large swath of the industry was definitely a change in direction, although I'm not sure technically a pivot.
All right, so now let's get to the meat of the company that you're building, Well Built Ventures. Help us to understand the niche that you're serving, the problems that you're solving, and just talk to us about the type of client persona that really understands the value and that you're kind of targeting your message at.
Okay, so I'll try to keep this separation of church and state. It's a little confusing. So Well Built Ventures is the company, and inside of Well Built Ventures, we have a product called Precision Health Platform. oftentimes it's mistaken as a standalone company or a separate company, but it's a product that's owned and operated by the business. So the succinct version is, at Wellbill Ventures, we help wellness businesses compete in the intelligence era. Another very interesting subject we could dive more into, but every industry, as I'm sure your audience will be familiar with, is going through this format shift from the information era to the intelligence era. And most wellness businesses lack the core competencies and the expertise to compete in this new intelligence era. And so Wellbill Ventures, what we do is we bring the unique combination of deep domain expertise along with scientific growth tools, both systems and products, to help our customers grow. And there are some exceptions to this, but typically we found a real sweet spot with pre-private equity businesses. Oftentimes, companies in the range of, again, these aren't hard rules, but somewhere $3 to $30 million in revenue. We don't work with many early stage companies. Most of our customers have a good track record of growth, but oftentimes they're looking for that next liquidity event, or they want to raise institutional capital, and so they need to mature their growth engine, and also the trajectory of that, and formalize it a bit so that it's easy for an institutional investor to feel more confident in the predictability of that future growth and revenue. And so oftentimes when people hear me describe that, they go, okay, well, like, what are your products? What do you actually do, right? We break it down into 4 categories. And again, these are all oriented around growth. So the first category is business development, obviously, whether it's sales enablement, augmenting a sales team, all of these things, using technology to helping our customers implement technology to do those things. That's category 1. Every company, of course, needs business development. Category number 2 is very similar, which is customer acquisition. Every company needs customer acquisition. So those are the kind of the 2 big product categories. The third is value engineering. That's what we call it. Value engineering is really concentrated on your operations model. Oftentimes, that's the area of the business where we focus on increasing profitability, increasing the bottom line as opposed to increasing the top line. And as we may get into, that is a very in-demand part of our offering, given all the radical transformation that's coming, I think, quicker than everyone expected as it relates to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the modern technologies. And then the fourth product category of growth services that we offer is called precision health integration. Our core customer is a fitness provider. That's I don't love the language, but it's the best we've been able to come up with. And so the persona of fitness provider could be a retail fitness operator, like a gym or a studio, a digital fitness platform, and in some cases, although this is the distribution of these type of customers is a lot less, it can be a fitness professional. So we do serve some fitness professionals that have substantial digital remote coaching businesses. So they're very obviously invested in technology, and the types of things that services that we provide are not new to those types of businesses. So it's a fitness provider, $3 to $30 million in revenue, and this last category, precision health integration, is helping these fitness providers implement solutions across all of the adjacent wellness market segments that are not fitness. And that is also where our product, Precision Health Platform, lives. So Precision is a software product that's sold to fitness providers, and they plug it into their website and their mobile apps, so essentially like the tech stack. And it enables the fitness provider to offer modern and very personalized wellness, spanning nutrition, supplementation, pharmaceuticals, personal care, sleep and recovery, and mental health. Basically, all of the market segments that are adjacent to fitness. And we could get into this piece of it too, the personalization aspect, but it's becoming such an important part of wellness today. When I got my start in fitness providers were seen as the authority when it came to a lot of the common desired health outcomes. You want to lose weight, you want to increase your endurance, you want to become more flexible and mobile. Oftentimes it was the retail part of our industry that had the authority there, but that's changed a lot. Mm-hmm. And for today's consumer, fitness is not the destination; it's the bridge. It's a bridge to that destination, which I think, I'm sure everyone has heard about longevity. I heard someone say it the other day: adding more life to your years. So health span, right, as opposed to longevity. And so that is also new in our industry. So that particular part of our business, the precision health integration, helps our fitness customers integrate products and services from these adjacent categories.
So Garrett, I have to ask you your view on artificial intelligence. I imagine there's a bit of it underpowering your product, but I'll let you answer that question. But kind of, how do you see AI in general sense? How do you see it impacting the industry in which you have expertise? And then how is your firm leveraging that technology in the marketplace?
Well, we actually sit on both sides of the table when it comes to AI. So obviously we use AI in our business, but oftentimes, and more and more so with every passing week, we are helping our clients implement AI. And just like every industry, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to engineer value in your operations model, just through automating the stuff that most human beings just don't want to do to begin with, right? And oftentimes, that probably is not that profound of an idea, Rick, right? But here's the reason I mention that. Oftentimes, there's a gap between seeing a clear solution and then implementing that solution. That's what we find with our clients, right? Because kind of like that expression, you're only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. When it comes to AI, you're only as strong as your repository of systems of process. You're only as strong as the data that you have. You're only as strong as the interoperability between your systems of record, on and on and on and on. Right. So if you're a business that's not using AI today or hasn't implemented it in a significant way, you can probably expect that there's going to be a period of time between when you come to a conclusion on what that solution is and when you actually implement it. So we're very involved in that with our clients. AI has had a big impact on the product life cycle in general. Obviously, ideation with tools like Cursor and Lovable, and some of the things that Figma and Sierra and these groups are doing. It makes it a lot more efficient to try new ideas, and for people either in our customers' teams or for us to show rather than tell in terms of a new idea or a new direction. But it's also decreasing the time to copy, which is something you've got to think about as far as a defensive position. But things that are some of the trends, I would say, or frontier items that are specific to the industry that I work in, that are the things that really excite me, are almost every physiological health outcome. So you want to be more mobile, you want to have better cardiovascular endurance so you can run with your kids, you want to lose weight, you want to live long, all these things, right? They are almost exclusively formulaic. Okay, they're predicated on basic data and math, and that is where artificial intelligence is having the biggest impact today. So that, I don't even know if I'd say still today. We're kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But in the very recent past, people have paid human beings for that help, and that is going to completely change. And in fact, I think there's a hesitancy. Not surprising. There's a hesitancy in our industry for people to talk about that because it's going to cause massive displacement in our industry. The basic things when it comes to physiological health outcomes, and this actually extends to not just fitness and wellness, but also healthcare. You need two things. You need really good data, right? So you can train, and also so you can predict and forecast accurately. And you need compute power. And what's so interesting is, we're at a point now where so many things are converging. And I think somewhere like 1/3 of the population today has a wearable device in the form of a wearable watch, but we all have more or less a wearable device in our pocket 24/7.
Right.
And so data is really not an issue in our industry. We have these tools that are collecting massive amounts of information. And now that we have the machine learning and the algorithms and people trying to solve big problems, what's possible with AI today outstrips the capacity of any of us as human beings. It's the compute's nearly free. It can monitor you 24/7. It can make recommendations to do this or do that at exactly the right and most convenient time. And there's just no way for a human being to compete with that. Many of your listeners may be familiar with, I think it was King's College in London, where they did a research study on the ability of AI to predict major disease versus real life human radiologists with X-rays. And there's actually been a couple of these studies. One I think was Stanford, and one was King's College in London. And in both cases, the AI performed at the human level, if not better. And that's with imaging, even more difficult than using textual data. And so, like our precision health platform, if anybody wants to go check that out, we have a biomarker face scan. It's free to use. You don't need any special equipment. You just use the camera on your smartphone. And the app is essentially an algorithm that looks at the blood flow in the vessels in your face and a few other things like the color of your skin and the variation in blood flow in different parts of the face to predict up to 25 biomarkers, your sleep quality, respiratory health, et cetera, et cetera. And that sort of product today is already free in the market. So this AI is having a disproportionate impact on our industry because most of the products that we provide, which are health outcomes, are predicated on data and basic math.
What an interesting interview, and what a comprehensive answer you give to my questions, and I really appreciate it. I wish we almost had more time, Garrett, to continue in this vein. No pun intended. But I'm wondering if we could change your direction a little bit and ask you for a piece of business advice, something that you have found valuable that someone along the way has shared with you that you could pay it forward with our audience. Is there something that comes to mind?
Well, yeah, there's a few. Something that jumps to mind immediately, because this is for whatever reason been a light bulb that I've relied on often recently, is the idea that it's more important to focus on what you're not going to do sometimes than what it is you're going to do. And because oftentimes the role we play, we're coming in to help our customers prioritize, and everyone's asking these same questions, like the subject we just discussed, AI. What do we do? How do we do it? It's easy to get lost in the weeds and chase the shiny penny or chase new technology for the sake of technology itself. And someone told me that once. I don't recall exactly where it came from, but it's helped me a lot in my 20 plus years when it comes down to prioritizing, is having a real explicit and clear system for prioritization, so that you can focus on making clear decisions that are easy to sleep on at night of what it is you're not going to do, so that you can really double down and focus and concentrate on the things that are important to your business.
That's great advice, because as you know all too well, and other entrepreneurs that are listening now or in the future know, the opportunity to be an entrepreneur is kind of unbounded by your curiosity. And sometimes you really have to rein in that desire and that interest and that curiosity. And so you for that. I'm going to ask you about the future, but before I do, I want to bring Franco's question, which is he'd like to know kind of what's next for you. And I guess what I'd like to know is what's the vision that you have for your business as you continue to grow and scale and expand your offerings in the marketplace?
So after I left Exponential about a year and a half ago, and I started this business, I spent a few months just doing due diligence to try and find the cross section. Okay, if I have any experience to offer, what is that? If I've had any success, what is that? But also, what are the substantial underserved needs in the industry that I've spent my career in that are not where there's not quick fixes, and there are going to be challenges with that underserved need for at least the next 5 to 10 years. And those two things for me, which are very intertwined at the end of this exercise, were AI and health optimization and personalization. I think inherently for all of us as humans, intrinsically, we have a desire to make ourselves more fit, not in the sort of fitness gym rat type of way, but to be better, live healthier, live long, all of those things, right? To truly be more fit, almost in the Darwinian definition of fitness. And so, I think AI is a transition in that I think is going to be a once in a lifetime in my life, where it unlocks the ability for so much personalization, right? Right now, the limits that we have for consumers, I think the biggest enabler is convenience, right? Like there's a handful of people out there that love to exercise and do all the stuff, but that's not most of us. In fact, I saw a study one time about, I think it's something like 50% of medications that are prescribed aren't taken or aren't filled. Right? People don't even want to take a pill if they can, right? And so AI presents us with this opportunity because it's learning from you at all times to hit you with the right thing, the right recommendation at just the right time. And it will get smarter and smarter and smarter with the multitudes of data that it has for how to get you to do that, right thing. And so for me and the direction of this company, we're going to stay focused on that personalization because I don't think consumers really want more apps, more tools, more wearable devices. I think they want it to be simple, right? That's another piece of business advice I heard from someone one time is they said, don't make your customer think. And it's so easy to get wrapped up, especially in product development, try and do something new, trying to do this or that, this bell and whistle. And it's like, in many industries, whether it's a music app or it's e-commerce app or a grocery app, there is a framework and a user experience that the customer's already acclimated to. So don't recreate the wheel if you don't have to. And so there's a lot for the next 5 to 10 years for me and for my company. We'll be focused on bringing greater levels of really sophisticated personalization, but in a way that's simple for modern consumers.
Boy, that's the keys to the kingdom right there. Thank you for sharing that. Final question. How does someone connect with you directly, maybe on LinkedIn? And then how do they learn more about Well-Built Ventures?
Yeah, definitely on LinkedIn. If you just search Garrett Marshall /Garrett Marshall on LinkedIn, you can find me there. I think my contact information is there. Or you can go to wellbuilt.ventures, which is the company's website.
Well, this has been an exciting conversation. I told you at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good one planned for you. And Garrett, you did not disappoint. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Rick.
And thanks to the audience, Franco and the rest who have been listening live to the show. If you're an Orange County entrepreneur, you have a story that you'd like to share with our audience, it's simple. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. And between Haley, our producer, and myself, we can help to get you ready to be a guest on a future episode. Until we have a chance again to be all together here on the stream, I hope all of your business decisions will move your companies in a positive direction.